What is your favorite feature? What do you like about it?
There's nothing that changes dramatically, like you'll feel right at home.
It's about changing the visual style.
Yeah, but just subtle tweaks and refinements here and there. Everything is now way more round.
Yeah, new multitasking menu, new widgets.
Has a more consistent look throughout the UI, the icons, the widgets. I think it's good. I think it's good.
There seem to be only two bigger compromises.
Here's what I think Samsung should do. Showtime. Hey everyone, it's PhoneArena Show once again. And today we have a bunch of interesting things for you, which is One UI 7 is finally launched in a beta form to early adopters of new software. We're also going to talk about a new iPhone SE, which did not happen this year, but chances are it's going to come finally after a long wait next year, early next year, the new SE. And then we're going to look at a spicy rumor about the new iPads over the next couple of years. So interesting things, but let's start with the one that is halfway here, which is One UI 7. Let's talk about it. We have it running on one of our S24 devices here. It's looking good, pretty good.
Yeah, it's a big upgrade. Everyone was waiting for this new version of One UI because it's such a huge overhaul, new style, new look, and it's not all that much about changing the functionality, it's about changing the visual style.
Yeah.
And once it's finally here, after all the rumors, for me, like the big takeaway is just how shockingly similar it is to iOS.
It is.
In many ways. So what Samsung has done is a complete new look for the icons, new multitasking menu, new widgets, new control center type of thing that you have in your notification drop down, the new Now bar.
Love it.
Which is a great functionality, but again, something that we've seen Apple introduce a couple of years
It's a very
ago.
Apple iOS inspired update, that one.
And it's an interesting direction for Samsung to take because we've seen that Google, with their official releases, they're going more towards their own Material U styling with those quirky looks, with this flat styling. And here we have a more 3D-like design. So here Samsung is veering more towards Apple-like design, and we're seeing less and less elements of that Material U styling that we have in stock Android. So it's interesting to see this upgrade, but you've also used it for a while. What is your favorite feature? What do you like about it?
And by the way, when you mentioned Google, like they're doing that sort of thing, but hardware-wise, Samsung is doing it with the software, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so quite like it. As you say, it's not like radically new type of UI styling, or there's nothing that changes dramatically, like you'll feel right at home when you install One UI 7. If you use previous One UI,
you'll get used to it pretty quickly.
You'll get used to it pretty quickly. They're like refinements. I think refinement would be the right word. It comes with Android 15.
Yeah.
Which is also like refinement, I would say, is the name of the game for Android 15. No major changes to pretty much anything, but just subtle tweaks and refinements here and there. And for Samsung, as we see, widgets, or everything is now way more round.
Yeah.
Nice rounded corners everywhere. Has a more consistent look throughout the UI, the icons, the widgets, the buttons, toggles, everything is following that sort of style. It's very Apple, sort of like a type of a UI, which I think is good. Apple is the king of software experience, so.
Yeah, the shocking thing for me was actually the change in widgets, because this was like one area where Apple introduced it and everyone was like, okay, finally Apple a couple of years ago introduced widgets. I think it was like iOS 16 or something like that. And everybody on the Android side was like, okay, Apple is doing this a decade after Android.
Yeah.
What a lame move, right?
Right.
But then it turns out that the approach Apple had to widgets was very well thought out. It was very balanced, and widgets had had a framework behind them. You could have like a small size, mid size, large size widgets, and they were all kind of in the same design language.
And now Samsung is doing the same thing.
And now Samsung is doing the same. Previously, Android widgets were just kind of all over the place. They had different styling, different looks. And here it's just super easy. Like here, if you take this weather widget, again, very similar to what we have on iOS, but you can quickly resize it, and it looks good in different sizes. You can make it smaller, bigger. It's easy to
Pretty
tweak.
much how the changelog for One UI 7 is them explaining you all our new framework for app icons and widgets and how you can resize them. And by the way, if you turn it in landscape, it just retains the aspect ratio. So they're really, spend some time on that whole system of how things should resize and look on the screen.
And the other thing that for me stands out, so these are the widgets, they look nice now. And the other thing is just the animations. I've been saying this multiple times, the gesture navigation on One UI was very choppy. You had dropped frames when you're using specifically for the Exynos models of the Galaxies. Now, if you live in the US, you get the Snapdragon version, it's less noticeable. It's still noticeable, just not as much. And now with One UI 7, it's another big upgrade here. We see that everything is just much smoother, much nicer. And you have this refinement and animations were the area they had to fix, and they finally did it. It's not 100% perfect, but it's 90%.
Still in beta, by the way. There's still time for further, improvements.
Yeah, we should say that One UI 7 is coming first to the Galaxy S25 series in January, we expect. So they will be
the final stable version.
Right, they will be the big launch platform for this new software. And then older versions, of course, are getting this big upgrade. Probably the S24 series will be first in line soon after. But we're seeing that once again, Samsung is committing to 7 years of Android updates, but you see how those updates arrive months after the official version. Like Android 15 launched in September, October, and the One UI release with Android 15 is coming in late January, and probably for the S24 in February or March. So we're seeing half a year delay between the Android release and One UI. So it's just something that you
And they have a lot of stuff on top of Android 15, right?
Yeah, not much in terms of new AI features, which we're surprised about.
Just a few.
What do you think about that? You played a bit.
It's completely fine. They're already, pretty much packed with AI stuff, and now they're just, as far as I know, at this point, we have some slight improvements here and there, like writing assist. The writing tools here for AI should be available in more apps, and then the code transcript mode is now available in more languages, if that was important. And now, as far as I know, when you're recording calls with the phone, the transcription feature for the call will begin automatically. And more or less that is the extent of the improvements for AI features. Again, they already have a lot going on.
Yeah, I would say probably Samsung is keeping some great new AI features for the launch of the Galaxy S25.
Yes.
So I guess we'll see some new features, but probably they will be exclusive, or at least the big reveal will happen in January.
And then some of them will probably come to S24 series.
Oh hopefully.
With the stable version of the UI, because Samsung has, I think, actually a pretty good track record of bringing its new software features to the older models.
Right.
Unlike other companies.
I wonder which company you're referring to.
And then, what else? Android 15, everything in there is coming on here. The lock screen, I don't know if the lock screen is different, but it seems more cheerful this time around as I'm playing with this beta version.
Yeah, I think the big change here is that now bar in the bottom, that you can play around it, you can tap on it, expand it, you can see what music is playing easily on your lock screen.
Very like Apple sort of feature. You get the big folders finally. I'm not sure if the big folders, like those that you can actually directly press on an icon within a folder, is that an Android feature or is it?
I think it's a One UI feature. Yeah.
One UI feature.
I'm not sure though.
Because I have it on the OnePlus and I know Honor has it as well.
Yeah, we've seen it on other phones.
They're probably adding it all by themselves. Okay, so yeah, Samsung has that now. What else? Yeah, you can group your alarms for the people like me who have maybe 3 to 4 alarms
in the morning. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
under the same category, like for waking up.
Yeah.
You can maybe group them logically that sort of way. And yeah, you mentioned the multitasking. All of these, yeah, the multitasking is like completely copy pasted from the iPhone one.
Yeah, you get those same cars, but I think that's a good change. You can see more like in the background, more context. It's just more fluid, makes sense a bit more.
Yeah. Overall, great update.
Yeah, I think it's a great update indeed. I love what I'm seeing here. I love the new icons, the new styling, just more contrasty, more expressive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the only thing I'm still not perfectly happy with is like when you press the power button, you're still limited to only Bixby here. You cannot start Gemini, which is a much better assistant. But you can still start Gemini with a swipe from the bottom, just not quite as convenient. Overall, great update.
It's very beautiful UI. Yeah, I like the new icons as well. They're more colorful. Maybe too colorful in a way. So here's what I think Samsung should do.
Let's hear it.
Samsung's One UI does not have built-in feature to change the icon packs, which should be like it's like a missed opportunity.
No, and if you go into the Samsung store, they're still selling those themes that you can buy, and those I think Samsung should just kill this completely. It's just a shameful experience. You go there, you see those ugly themes, all of them like you have to pay for them,
and they're paid on top of that. It's not a good place to be. But Samsung should probably develop another icon pack.
That would be great.
Another skin option, like Apple now has the light version and the dark version,
and the monochrome one.
And the monochrome one. So yeah, and so Samsung, because look at this gallery icon here. It's like very juvenile sort of thing. For a teenager, for I don't know, slightly feminine, just too fresh. I mean, it's good, but some of these icons are really too colorful. And how about that if Samsung makes, okay, this is like your default anyway colorful version, and then the more like the mature version.
Right.
Like the slightly more laid back. Because imagine, and we already know from the leaked renders for the Ultra, or the S25 Ultra.
Right.
The colors are different. They're not the same as the S25 or the S24. The Ultra has that more pro type of
experience
colorway.
Yeah.
The hardware is more muted colors, more laid back, more mature, and the same is true for the iPhone Pro models.
Right.
Compared to the vanilla models. The vanilla models, they have those happy colors and so on.
Right.
The Pro models, they're more darker, more neutral. So Samsung is doing the same thing. And imagine the Ultra, your brand spanking new Ultra with its badass color scheme, and then you have this extremely cheerful, colorful UI on top of it. Just doesn't sit perfectly right with me. So yeah, if they have a more the mature color scheme, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I actually like the colors as they are, but I definitely get your point. Many people would just want something more in a different style, and it would be great having some different options. So I think that Samsung will eventually do this. They're just kind of a couple of years behind.
Yeah.
So I guess the next version of One UI will hopefully have these icons, but it's a great suggestion.
Doesn't seem like a huge investment to me, is what I'm saying, to have your 40, 50 icons.
Yeah, but then of course you need to address other icons, right? Third-party icons. How are they going to look?
Samsung does Samsung address other third-party apps?
Apple does.
When
switch to like different modes, they change the look. Like the monochrome icons, they all kind of appear the same style.
Yeah, like your terrible skin on top of everything.
Right, yeah.
Everything get ugly.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Apple, the SE4, once again in the news stream, it's been there for what now, 4 to 5 years, awaiting the new one. And so this time we have, the usual new bits of data, and one is coming from, again, your favorite newsletter host, Mark Gurman, with news about Apple's legendary, or should I say, mythical modem, the new modem chip.
Yeah, it's big news, probably bigger than many people realize. And the backstory of this 5G modem that many people don't even care about, but it's been a big issue for Apple because they have this
Because they have to pay money for it.
They have to pay money to it and to no other company than Qualcomm. And they have a pretty rocky relationship with Qualcomm.
Do they?
They're suing each other. Yeah, they're involved in a multi-year litigations with that company. They don't want to be in that agreement. They have to pay royalties, and it's complicated. That's what the status is.
Especially the royalties part. It's very complicated stuff.
So Apple has been trying to kind of move on from their modems, but it's proven surprisingly hard. Apple has been very successful with its own chips, the A series, the M series on the MacBooks, but cracking the modem game took a bit more time. Finally, it seems they are on the final stretch, and the first Apple product to have that brand new Apple-developed 5G modem is now set to be the iPhone SE, the 4th generation, which is coming in early 2025. And the latest whispers are it's coming a bit earlier. Some were saying it's going to arrive in April, but now we're hearing that it's coming in March. And this is a big development because this new modem is going to obviously develop. This is like the first version. It should be good enough. It's a 5G modem, of course, but it's going to evolve and it's going to end up in all of the iPhones. So it's hugely important that the signal reception is good, that everything is just top notch. And we've been hearing that the other model that is getting an Apple-made modem is going to be that new rumored iPhone Air / Slim model.
Move.
Yeah, this would be interesting. And then Apple has an agreement with Qualcomm to buy their modems, which is valid until all the way through 2026. So they still have some time. And I would guess that next year, 2025, we won't see all new iPhones move to an Apple modem, but maybe with the iPhone 18 series, this will finally happen. So iPhone SE users will kind of be like the test bunnies for this experiment, but hopefully it's an important product for Apple. So I'm sure they've got this right. But we're gonna see the first Apple modem on the iPhone SE.
Right, and then the other interesting thing is that the rumor says they're also gonna trial it on the Air Slim iPhone, which is interesting, makes sense because it's gonna, if the rumors are true, it's gonna replace the Plus, which is the weakest performer in the current lineup for iPhones.
Yeah.
So it's replacing the Plus. So on that side of the thing, they're probably expecting the Air or Slim to still not perform quite as well on the market as the vanilla, the base iPhone and the Pro iPhone, and it probably won't perform better than those. But then again, it's a new kind of a iPhone type model.
It's also possible that just because of that new slim form factor, they have to kind of redesign, reshuffle the internal components, and they would need a different form factor for the modem as well. And they can do this with a custom-made modem easier than they can do it with a Qualcomm.
Right, yeah.
So it makes sense to try this with this slim model.
But obviously not as brave right now to put it right onto the bestsellers.
Yeah.
They're not willing to compromise that for the time being. So crazy how and otherwise the probably the most boring component within a phone.
Yeah.
But also super important, but very boring. Nobody cares about your modem.
Yeah.
It's so important business-wise for them.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have on the SE?
So the SE is going to be a surprisingly important launch for Apple, and I'm judging by all the latest rumors, it's going to be a very powerful phone, which has not been the case before with the SE. The last time Apple refreshed the iPhone SE was in 2022, and it was just like a rehash of the iPhone 8. So it just added 5G connectivity back in the day. But still, it retained that old form factor, the Touch ID button, all that super old design. And of course, it wasn't a hit with consumers. Nobody wants this phone. And we also don't recommend it currently in our buying guides because of that reason. It's just too old, battery life is not good, all those reasons. But the iPhone SE, the new one, is gonna get like all the major pieces of the puzzle right. So it is rumored to have an A18 chipset and to support Apple Intelligence. So it's getting the same chip as the iPhone 16, which is more expensive. It's getting the latest Apple Intelligence features that even the iPhone 15 does not support.
That's going to be a great iPhone.
Yeah, it's going to be a great iPhone. It's getting the new design with Face ID.
It's going to be like iPhone 14.
It's going to be like the iPhone 14. So in terms of compromises, there seem to be only two bigger compromises. One is it won't have the dynamic island. It will use the notch.
The notch, okay.
Which is a bit older, but
who cares?
Yeah,
Who cares,
like if you like the dynamic island and its neat little features, but yeah, it's definitely not a major compromise.
Yeah, no.
And the other one is gonna miss the ultra-wide camera, which is definitely controversial. Most phones these days have two cameras on their back. This one, the SE, is rumored to have just one camera on its back, no ultra-wide camera.
Yeah.
I personally am not the heaviest user of the ultra-wide camera. I don't think I will miss it all that much.
Me neither.
Some people might, but again, is this a huge compromise? I would debate that it's a reasonable one. Like, it's better to have Apple Intelligence, it's better to have that top-notch performance than an ultra-wide camera.
But there is also the bright side to the camera.
Which is what?
Which is the new confirmation that we're getting, that they will not compromise too much with the camera. So it's gonna get the new main sensor of the iPhone 16, right? Which is the 48 megapixel one.
Yeah, that's great news. That's actually, I didn't expect that. It's more than I would ask of Apple.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, but it is important because like you need this better zoom quality and
it's gonna give you the sensor crop 2x.
Exactly, it's giving you that sensor crop 2x, portrait mode at 2x, which is also great.
Which are like the premium features for cameras and iPhone cameras.
So interestingly, the price will go up slightly. We're not sure exactly how much. The previous iPhone SE started at $430, which was a good price point. We're hearing the new iPhone SE is gonna be around $460 on the lower end, or up to $500, which is in that same category as the Pixel A series. And it's a good place to be.
I would love to charge $500 for that.
It's
not gonna be a weak phone.
I would bet on $500. Yeah, I would bet that would be the price.
I
but
don't see that like being sub 500.
If it's gonna be cheaper, it's gonna be a great deal, I think. But still, $500 sounds like a reasonable price if you don't care too much about the lack of an ultra-wide camera. Otherwise, everything is like kind of similar to the iPhone 14. The battery size and only one screen size. That might be the downside. If you want an affordable iPhone with a larger screen, oh, tough luck, sorry.
Yeah.
You're only getting a smaller size iPhone SE model, no big model here.
And it's going to be like this 6.1 inch display, right?
Yeah, 6.1 inch display. Same OLED technology finally, because the previous iPhone SE was an LCD one.
Beautiful 60 hertz display.
So yeah, of course, the 60 hertz situation is a bit of a compromise. $500 phones these days. Let's say all of them
all of them have
fast 120 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah.
You're still gonna get slightly choppier animations on this iPhone SE, but again, even the iPhone 16 has it, so it's not
price.
It's not unexpected.
Sounds like a decent deal.
And it's an important launch, especially for Apple and its position in various markets outside the US. Like, especially for the Chinese markets, market. The company has had very tough competition there from companies like Huawei, Xiaomi. All of them have great affordable phones.
Yeah.
And the iPhone is good in its like more higher end versions, but that current iPhone SE model is just too bad. It's just a weak offering. No one's gonna buy it. And this one will finally be competitive with those Chinese companies. And I guess this would be like the main target, like people in China, in India, people where markets where people cannot afford high-end phones.
And it once again will be a great entry point.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of spending too much on this phone,
Yeah.
now you can enter the iPhone game at a pretty decent price, reasonable. All right, that's exciting stuff about SE4. Can't wait for this product. And then finally, we have a really quick look. It's a very interesting leaked timeline for display tech on future Apple products, and it includes iPads and Macs. And we mostly care about the iPads here. But what does this leaked timeline reveal? By the way, where is it coming from?
It's coming from a leaker with a good track record called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, it's called Jukan Los Revi.
Jukan Los Revi. Yeah.
You'll see the source here and the image, of course. So basically what we're looking here is projections all the way to 2029 about iPad and MacBook screens. And the most exciting part is here that we're expecting to see the first foldable iPad kind of monitor thing, but it is coming way past what you might hope. It's projected to arrive in 2028, and it's said to be a 18.8 or roughly 19-inch foldable kind of thing. So basically, it's gonna serve as a monitor. If you unfold it, just a portable monitor of sorts. And it will have an OLED display. Of course, for that foldable technology, you need an OLED screen which can fold.
Could it also be like a new type of iPad?
Yeah, it will be like in the iPad family, but since it's gonna be so huge, I think like the use case would be more like a laptop / monitor, just because of its sheer size. 19 inches, it's hard to hold in your hands, right, and operate. It's obviously gonna have a touch screen, so it's gonna support the typical iPad interface. I bet it would run also on iPad OS. So essentially it will be a foldable iPad, but the main way to interact with it is gonna be with a keyboard, like a laptop / monitor is my guess, just because of that sheer size.
Could it be possible that it's like a foldable, let's say, foldable MacBook, so you like have one portion serve as the base and then the other is the screen?
It's a possibility, yeah, but it's way too early. What this leak specifies is gonna be a high-end device. It's gonna use a foldable OLED, and it's gonna use that tandem screen technology where basically you have two OLED panels stacked on top of each other, and this way you get much brighter output. So it can get crazy bright. We have the same technology currently on the iPad Pro, which was the first model with a tandem display, much brighter screen, better quality, better efficiency also. And yeah, it's coming in 2028. But going back to more regular, usual iPad stuff. So we're expecting new iPad Air models next year. But this leak does not mention them.
Is it the Air or the Mini?
We're expecting an Air early next year.
Okay.
But it's not mentioned here just because it's gonna be using the same LCD technology. And the first time we'll see an OLED screen on the Air is gonna be, according to this leak, all the way in 2027.
Okay.
So which is quite away from now. And it will still, unfortunately, be a 60 Hz display, which is definitely disappointing because the iPad Air is not cheap. It's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. It's a mid-range offering. And unfortunately, Apple is rumored to stick with the same screen sizes, 11 and 13 inches, but 60 Hz.
And at that point, I'm wondering, like, who on this planet it would still be manufacturing cutting-edge displays, beautiful OLED display panels which are only capable of 60 hertz? I'm pretty sure nobody. So,
You'd be surprised.
well, it's probably like a custom order by Apple, and they're saying like, these are the specs. Do not make it high refresh rate. I repeat, do not make it high
It would be
refresh
interesting
rate.
to see if this is a controller that kind of tweaks this, or is this something that has to be baked in the panel itself? I'm not aware of that, actually.
It's gonna be too dirty of a move if they just like limit it in the software.
Yeah.
Although they would be pretty capable of that. But yeah, it's just mind-boggling stuff. And it probably means that the other Apple products, which are currently stuck at 60 FPS, will maybe probably keep running at 60 hertz up until 2027.
Yeah, we're hearing like for the iPhones, we're hearing that in 2025, which is next year, we're getting already the base models are gonna get 120 hertz promotion. But for the iPads with those bigger screens, it's probably gonna take more time.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the last thing is the jump to OLED on the iPad Mini, which is a cheaper device than the iPad Air, is surprisingly happening earlier. So the iPad Mini is gonna get an OLED version in 2026. And again, it's going to be a 60 hertz frame rate, but it's going to be an OLED panel, the same roughly 8-inch screen. And as you can see, the base iPad model is not mentioned anywhere here up until 2030. So this means in the foreseeable future, the base iPad, just the regular model, is going to stick with an LCD screen. And we're expecting that
Which
model
would be fine if it was like a decent LCD, but it's not, at least not until now with the 10 Gen. It's the non-polarized,
yes, it's
cheap, like almost TFT quality panel.
yeah, and we're gonna see. It's gonna stay LCD, but will it have?
Hopefully.
Yeah, will it have those more advanced features? It's coming next year.
Because I have at home, I have the very first iPad Pro, the 9.7 inch one. And it's 9.7 inch, so the original iPad display size and aspect ratio, and it's 60 hertz, but it's a beautiful display.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful screen.
Laminated and everything.
Laminated and everything. Nothing like this ugly iPad 10 Gen stuff.
But of course, it's about the price. Apple wants to keep some price differentiation to have some reason to make you upgrade to the more expensive model.
Yeah, and to be able to sell them at
the premium, yeah.
$400 or whatever dollars. All right, so is there anything else in this roadmap that deserves our very expensive attention?
So yeah, we're hearing also a few things about MacBooks. They're getting a touchscreen in 2026. A touchscreen version of MacBooks kind of makes them closer to the iPad, which is very interesting. This is probably going to be accompanied by a big upgrade, software one, to macOS. We're going to see if this happens, but you can see there's a touchscreen panel on the TFE screen. So basically an advanced technology, touchscreen technology of the Mac.
Interesting move.
In 2026, which is not that far off on both the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models.
Yeah.
And the MacBook Air is also rumored to get the same technology in 2028, a few years further down the road. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Exciting moves for Apple. Unfortunately, some of them, like at least a couple of years into the future, but that's why we're here to follow what happens in this industry day in and day out. At the time being, One UI 7. It's almost here, but then again, January, February, the earliest for S25, and who knows when it's gonna come to the S24 as well.
Right, yeah.
But early adopters, they have a way of attaining it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for watching, guys, this episode of the PhoneArena Show. If you enjoyed it, for sure, I mean, of course you did, share it, like it, hit the subscribe button, and let us know what things you would like us to discuss in the comments below.
Thanks for watching, and
And we'll see you next time.
see you next time.